Most people will know, out of his 3 rookie cards, you got 2 that are kicking. So that's a pretty unique thing. And I just like this one because it's got the we'll get it imposed on the screen so people can see. It's got the ball right there about to be punted. That one's already after punted, but good shot there, I think, for you.
Yeah, actually in 65, one of our programs here in Florida was a picture of me punting against Mississippi State. So I've got that picture. Very similar to the one you just said right there.
Yeah. This is the 1987 Duke Police. So this card was given out literally by the police in sheets to people. That's one of a very unique card because there's not a lot of them. I always wonder if you remember any of these cards. You remember taking that picture that day or even getting one of those cards?
I've seen that picture a few times.
And then there's the this one, I think 73 tops. That's got the helmet on. Got the ball. Yeah.
I think a year I got hurt in a dang preseason game. Missed about the whole year.
Yeah, no, that's always tough.
Do you mind if I share the story about your Heisman ticket that's over there in the? You do remember coming into the shop with that ticket?
Yeah, about 7 years ago.
It was a while ago. Yeah, before the restaurant. So Freddie had said, Coach is going to bring in some stuff. You mind taking a look at it? So you had this. I think it was a Publix bag, and you had some coins in it. You had it was a bunch of stuff. I'll tell you what. You had coins. You had also anywhere. We're looking through little things, and you're asking me, is that worth anything? What's that worth? What's that worth? So we're going through some old cards I think you had in there. And then on the bottom of the bag was this Heisman ticket, and I thought it was a replica for sure. I was like, oh, this. I said, what is this? So I said, Coach, what's this? He goes, oh, that's my ticket from back in the day. I said, this is your Heisman ticket? He goes, yeah, look. And the perforation was still on there, so it was undetached. I said, this is your ticket, isn't it? So we flip it over, and on the back of that ticket, right, you had signed it, Steve Spurrier. And I think you said to me, I'm not sure why I signed it, but I signed it. And it's a very different signature than what you do now, which was cool to see. So here at the restaurant, not only can you get great food, can you potentially meet Coach? They have a museum, I call it. It's more of this beautiful shadow box over there with jersey. You got all the sorts of stuff in there. And he actually has a PSA authenticated, his original Heisman ticket with his signature on that as well displayed. So that was the one thing on the bag. I said, Coach, we gotta take care of this. This is some history right here. But I'm glad it made its way over there to the showcase.
We got a lot of stuff in here, and have we run out of room? I guess I got a bunch of other stuff back at the house. But people that like that type of stuff, they see a lot here.
And the visor wall is amazing.
Yeah.
What made you save those visors after all the years?
Always saved them when I went to a really good golf course and around the country and so forth. So that was just something memorabilia for me. And then, of course, when we did the restaurant, and Visors is the upstairs outdoor restaurant, bar, and so forth. Freddie Whibby, I said we wanted to call it Visors. And so it is a neat name. And it's pretty neat watching all the coaches wear visors nowadays. People ask me, why'd you start doing that? And I say, because back in 90, nobody else was. So if you want to be successful in life, you're supposed to do things a little different than nobody else. So I said, that's another way I can be a little different than all the other coaches.
Well, so let's chat, man, about the Midwest Monster. You and I literally were at this massive card show right in your hometown. You were really a big part of getting that show going in the Midwest. Was it 2 years ago, I think? And I would love to kind of hear some of your thoughts on the show, but also what are your favorite parts as a card shop owner? Because I'm seeing a lot of card shop owners not going to shows, but you're very active in shows. So what is your favorite part about being at these mega shows?
Yeah, starting that show with Jeff, with J&J, the guy who runs it, it was a lot of fun because we'd kind of been dreaming it up for almost a year and a half. It's like, how can we do a really good regional show that brings in everybody across the country, kind of feels like a little miniature national, if you will, because the national convention's coming up shortly. And, we dreamt up, let's do it in more of an Indiana style atmosphere. We're doing it inside of a big basketball tournament arena with, 420 to 450 tables. And, it's gotten bigger and bigger out throughout the 3 shows that we've done year after year. And we're excited about it. It's just, this past weekend was just insanely busy. And I'll tell you, you were there, Jameel, that Friday literally felt like a day at the National of how many people were there, how many deals were being done. all the buying, selling, and trading going on. And then, the most important thing, back to your question, to me, it always has been, is the relationships with new people and established relationships that we've had. And that's how we got to know each other, created a strong bond and, in the card shop world. And that's the same thing, how we reflect on how we do our card shows. The ones that we do attend, they're all about, seeing the same people that come back and getting to know the person before you deal with the cards. That's very important in my life.
So, I mean, just thinking about your shop, man, everywhere I go, everybody always has such high regards for Indie Card Exchange. Everybody always talks about it. Has it been as easy as you make it look? And like, what do you really attribute this success to? I mean, so many people want to know.
No, it's not been as easy at all. I mean, it takes a lot of work. It takes a ton of time and effort. I'm only one person. We have 14 people on staff right now. We have 7 full-time and 7 part-time. And it takes every single one of us every day. And you've got to keep those buckets full, like from a business perspective. There's not just people walking in the door to buy, sell, and trade. We've got the grading aspect like you have, Jameel. We've got the online breaking. We've got consignment sales. We've got in-store purchases of collections. There's so many different things that help a card shop, stay full in a way. And there's a huge life cycle that you have to kind of keep all those pieces, like I call them the spokes of the wheel, intact. Because if not, things can fall apart very quickly. So, it all goes back though to relationships, because like you said earlier, like I was a kid that went to a card shop, and the card shop I went to influenced me to enjoy the hobby and to collect and to continue it for more of a longevity than just a quick short period of time where once you get into high school, you give up and you want to hang out with girls and have a new car and all that kind of stuff. I was that nerd that just kept it going, and have enjoyed every aspect of it because the card shop that I was able to go to was such a positive influence on my life.
Yeah, we love coming into your shop. Yeah, we always have a great time. We've been to the big meetups and trading events you've had there, so we've really enjoyed it. We first got back into it. My son, when he's probably 8, 9, 10 years old, doing the Pokemon, and then that evolved probably with Anthony Richardson coming out. Anthony I've known since high school. Obviously an Eastside kid, and came back from some injuries and has had success. And so when he was coming out, my son and I really got involved in chasing his rookie cards. And we have probably 30 or 40 different Anthony rookie cards at this point, and that really kind of sucked me back into it. As a kid, I was really into it, and him as well. And so we started chasing Wyatt cards and all these things, and doing the openings and buying into the rips and all these different things. And so it's really been a fun time for he and I, and a chance to bond over the hobby and really get back into it.
We have an exemplar file that's over 1 million different files, and it's all in chronological order. Anybody you could possibly think of, famous, infamous, anybody that has any type of notoriety. And it's very, very important when you're authenticating an autograph to compare it to that particular era. I mean, you could look at your Social Security card. You could see the evolution of your autograph from 30 years ago until now. Your autograph looks almost nothing like it used to. So it's not fair to compare, a Babe Ruth autograph from, in 1948, when the year he passed, to something that he signed in 1923. His autograph did drastically change, and there's different letter formations and angling and sizing that we look at to determine if the autograph is real.
And this is good for celebrities and everything. I'm assuming. I remember, back on those backfield spring training there in West Palm Beach, I just was randomly walking around, and Christy Brinkley was there doing a photo shoot. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Christy Brinkley. So I got her to sign a baseball bat. She threw a heart on there too. So you could even do stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Christy Brinkley has a wonderful autograph, and that's kept very consistent over the years. You can read every single letter in her name. She's a very gracious signer. She does a lot of the shows now. I believe she does a few Comic-Cons and whatnot. A lot of people like to get her on, National Lampoons with Chevy Chase, that iconic scene. So yeah, we compile all these different exemplars, and a lot of the guys that work with JSA, we're actively going out there and acquiring new exemplars. We go to, the PGA tournaments, we'll go to concerts, we'll go to, different sports signings, and we're constantly building up our exemplar file. So It always stays current, and we have the new star in in golf, or the new celebrity that just came out in a breakthrough movie. So it's an ever evolving, never ending project, the exemplar file.
I grew up in the Bay Area. I went to school out there. I did the whole startup thing. Tried to understand, how do apps and how do websites and how all that stuff works. And being what you call a hacker, a computer programmer, in the last few years, I was fascinated how our industry, how the hobby, how this collectibles industry was very lacking in technology. And so with that said, I started throwing up a bunch of different ideas onto my computer screen. And over, a course of, call it pivots, or just talking with users and series of iterations, I came up with what today's version of Waxstat is. And at the time, the problem was, especially for card breakers, who I was very familiar with, they just wanted to understand, what is the current market price? Where can I buy product? Where can I source product? And they say, I have to do X, Y, and Z and multiply that by so many things. It was such a complicated, convoluted process to just buy a box of wax, because it was pretty much the wild, wild west in terms of availability and price. So I ended up creating a website, waxstat.com, and it answers basically 3 questions. What's coming out? What's the market price for it? And where can I buy it? And just by answering those 3 simple questions, I have thousands of users that come to me every day just trying to answer those 3 questions for whatever their actual use case is. And they go to the website and they can answer what's coming out, how much is it, and where can I buy it?
What was it like just being there as a fan? I know you're a Gator fan, being in the College World Series and that whole atmosphere.
Yeah, great question. I mean, it was kind of an impromptu trip for our family, and I were like, yeah, this summer, let's go do it. So we headed out that way, and we actually, we drove, which probably it ended up great. But we drove so we could just have the flexibility to stay out there as long as the Gators were in it. And so it was a great experience to have my kids there, go through the whole College World Series and do all the events, and take the kids around the shops and show them different stuff, and then to be a part of the games. It was a blast. My kids loved it. I mean, there was games that were played at 10:30 at night, and then double headers, and we even went and watched several other games outside of the Gators, and we just had a good time.
And then, to be there and Jack hit that, was it a good feeling, a bad feeling? Like, what was going through your mind when you're like, oh man, that's the one that passes me now?
Yeah. I mean, really, I was impressed, because to Jameel's point, like, honestly, I didn't think that anybody would break it. Not because I was so good. I think that you had to have a career like Jack has had in order to touch it. You had to hit 30 home runs a year or more, really, to get to that record, I think. And he just, obviously he did that, and he crushed it. And I mean, so to have it broke by somebody like him is an honor, right? I think the guy's an unbelievable baseball player. I think he's going to have a great big league career. So it is what it is. And it was cool that my kids got to be a part of it. And see it, and really, they were even rooting Jack on, right? Like they loved it just as much, and it was a great family experience to have that happen, and for us to be in Omaha while it happened was even better.
Well, and it was obviously a great college career. I got to watch every single game throughout all that, and be a part of the so many great moments. So, I mean, you think about it, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, that had never been done before. You're in the UF Hall of Fame, all these things. What was, I think we see a lot of kids to make that decision to maybe get drafted and then go into pro ball early or have that college experience. But what did the college experience do for you and helping you now 20 years later?
That's a great question. I think the college experience, it helped me mature as a person, as a player. I think it taught me how to deal with failures. It taught me how to continue to persevere through whether it's injuries or not playing, because I didn't, a lot of people don't remember, but I didn't play a lot my freshman year.
Where does that come from, the RBI Crew 7?
Yeah, it's a big question we get a lot of time. Like, how did you come up with the name? So a real short, quick way of explaining it. Back in the day on the forums, I was RBI Sports Cards whenever I was on Backhead and Sports Card Forum. And Neil, my partner, was Crew 7, Drew Crew 7. Okay. And when 07 rolled around, he's like, hey, there's this thing on YouTube called group breaking. People will pay to join in breaks. You get to rip the cards. Basically, I'm like, wait, so people are going to pay us to rip cards and we get to open for free and just ship the stuff? He's like, yeah. So we had to sit down and come up with a name. My favorite baseball player of all time is Kenny Lofton, who wore number 7. He was a big J.D. Drew fan, who also wore number 7 as the Cardinals. And we said, we'll take RBI from RBI Sports Cards Crew, from Drew Crew 7, add the 7 on the end. There you go. The origin of RBI Crew 7 was created in 2007 for YouTube, that we never thought would be where we are today. And when we opened our shop in 2012, the biggest question was, do we change the name? Do we do something else? No, we stuck with it. We said, everybody knows this is this. We did, and I'm glad we stuck with RBI Crew 7.
So I guess I'm the only one of the crew now of the 3 that had a homer hit off him by J.D. Drew.
Oh,
so how about that?
See that?
Oh, okay.
So that gave me back flashbacks. Now I don't know if I could do the interview anymore. I'm
Jeff might have to remove himself from the interview today.
Yeah. I set my sights on amassing the best possible Christian McCaffrey collection that I could about 4 or 5 years ago. And I just started chipping away at trying to get all his best cards. And the way that I would approach it now, especially as I've learned more, is just constructing a master checklist of every rookie year McCaffrey card. And that's a really interesting exercise because he's in the same rookie season as Mahomes. So it can be a really fruitful research project if you want to learn about the rookie offering from 2017, which features already one of the greatest football players ever in Patrick Mahomes. So I would go through, I'd identify all of the cards of McCaffrey, then I would whittle it down to the ones that I thought were the best. And typically speaking, the cards that I think are the best are the rarest parallel to the true rookie card from each base set. And then I just try to find them and try to get them. So that's kind of the process in a nutshell. And this is in my opinion, this is McCaffrey's true rookie card from Select. It's his first appearing card in Select. And this is the rarest parallel to it, which is the black 1 of 1. So it was a card that I'd always thought about. I'd never seen a picture of it. I wasn't even sure if it had ever been pulled out of a box before.
Wow.
And
crazy. Right?
One day, there it is. Just walked up.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I don't know if it's a San Francisco thing or not, because I was looking at your Instagram and you got this, Brock Purdy gold prism. So like, what's like? Do you like Brock too? Is this like a new guy you're collecting?
Yeah, I do. I'm a little bit newer to collecting quarterbacks. I picked up Patrick Mahomes' Select Black 1 of 1 last year before the season started, which I was really excited about. But yeah, McCaffrey going to San Francisco definitely put Brock Purdy on my radar. I watch all the 49ers games. But the thing that sold me on Purdy was that during his rookie season, he finished 6th in QBR, which is ESPN's proprietary catch-all metric for quarterbacks. And then this season, he led the league pretty much wire to wire in QBR, and he finished 1st in QBR.
I got to talk to you about the National being a hobby dad, because I saw you walking. Well, I mean, you're doing your work. We're working, but then you had a time when you had your boys with you, your 2 boys, and you're walking around, and you're full on hobby dadding. You know what I mean? I see the smile on your face, and you're getting your kids excited about the hobby, and they all had Lions jerseys on, and it was just like this really cool moment. I get to see the guy behind the face of Fanatics Collect. I get to see the guy who is a dad who gets to have fun with his kids. So like, I guess, what was it like just being the hobby dad? And then of course, seeing your sons embrace this hobby and the cards that you've grown to love.
Yeah, man, it was incredible. Honestly, like as a parent, kind of the moment you've been waiting for. I mean, throwing it way back, started with cards and sports, doing like the Panini sticker book. So I remember when my first son was 3.5, every night, instead of reading books, we're opening the sticker packs and going through, and he memorized all the teams by the time he was 4. So wow, those are the moments that, come out for me. And, fast forward a decade later, and here we are at the National. So it was really cool. I was super busy at the National. I don't know why so many people wanted to talk to me, but I was beat red in the face and sweat behind the booth all day. And then I'm like, dang, man, I need to go break out on the floor and hang out with my kids. So I was lucky enough to have two really good local friends that brought my boys down along with theirs. And just seeing them in action was awesome. They got a couple PC items. They had a list. They were all ready. My youngest son, Nolan, who's 10 years old, was a little too focused on finding one card, and I'll take blame for that because I told him that, he should get a 2005 finest LeBron, like red X-Fractor or refractor. So the whole show, he was all focused on finding that one card. So in hindsight, he even admitted, hey, I focused on that too much. But overall, they loved it, man. And it was just so cool seeing them live. And what I appreciate about this hobby is it's old school, right? So I can teach my boys to look someone in the eye, shake hands, negotiate. So it was awesome, man. Absolutely loved it.
Sorry, I'm going to take you back to the good old days of being here in Gainesville and the Gator stuff. And I know how much you love being a Gator while you were here, and all the great things that you did. But then you go and you marry the enemy, and you think about all the times I've played summer ball and we go and you play with these guys, but then they became like your best friends. So I wonder what that dynamic was like early on. Was there a lot of trash talking of, hey, the Gators were better than Bama? Like, what was that like?
Well, the unfortunate part, Jeff, is that Florida hasn't really been better than Bama in our 10+ year marriage, which makes me sad to say. There was that SEC championship game in 2020 where I was talking a lot of trash because I was like, oh, we're doing this right now. Yeah. Like we're going to beat you guys. And we were so close. But, it is funny. I think where it really manifests is in Reese, because Reese is like, choosing teams she's going to root for. And I'm like, girl, don't forget about the Gators, and she calls them Mama's Gators. Like she doesn't ever call them just Florida or the Gators or, UF or anything like that. So I think she feels some nostalgia toward us. And I'm going to lean into that. And I'm like, you know what, Reese, now's the time. Okay. We're about to turn this thing around and we're going to be the team that you're going to want to root for. But right now she kind of leans Alabama. So I'm working on that.
Right. No, and that makes sense. But I guess I wonder then too, even from you guys on the set, there's so many different colleges that are tied in. Like, are there any funny bets going on behind the scenes in big games? Like, are certain things happening? A lot of smack talking?
Always. And you guys may not have seen this, but this was, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. It might've been the year before, but I had this bet going with Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark that Florida was going to beat LSU. And the whole thing was if the Gators won, they were going to have to wear like a Gator thing on the show on NFL Live. And if LSU won, I was going to have to wear a Tiger mask. They were very specific about that. So unfortunately for me, LSU won the game and I ended up having to wear the Tiger mask on TV, which is just like so ridiculous. And I was very sad. It didn't matter. I still love my Gators no matter what in all kinds of weather. But I was like, thanks a lot, guys.
I and my team were the recipients of, the first ever trading card Gronk Spike, Gronk Smash, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. We were right there front and center, and we all survived, number one, because what was smashed was a PSA graded card, and the way it happened, did not expect it to be so quick and so violent, but I mean that's what happens with Gronk. And for those of you who like to crack cases, he was able to do it in just 2 smashes, pull a card out. So quite impressive.
That is very impressive. So let's take a look at this video, and we'll have Jameel talk about the aftermath of what we just witnessed.
Cards and Brady's cards combined.
He's taking it off. Let's go!
Got a marker?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I can sign it. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the happy ground.
Look at that. That's how you crack a case. That is how you crack a case.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Love it, man.
Take that, Brady. That's going to be worth $20,000 right there.
So probably don't recommend us normal people doing that because it'll mess up the corners and crease it or do something different. But now there's that iconic card that is out there.
The hobby may not know this, brother. So let's start with a quick breaks question. How often are you jumping into breaks, and what are you currently chasing? I've heard some stories, and I've seen you on some of these lives. So let's let the people know.
Yeah, I'm probably buying into more breaks than I should. Don't tell my wife, but yeah, I've kind of slowed it down a little bit. I mostly buy singles, but here when products that I really like, things like optic, things like prism, I'll jump into some breaks rather than buying hobby boxes and things like that. So if I've got a wild hair, want to buy a box or two of optic, rather than going and buying those boxes, I will jump into a break or two. So yeah, I do enjoy the breaks. They are fun. You can hit big cards, but obviously there are more responsible ways to do things.
And so from a memorabilia standpoint, matter of fact, since it's a memorabilia show, I'll take you to I don't have much. This is where I call the games, or I got something they gave me for the Tennessee Baseball Hall of Fame. This is like a little painting from when we clinched, against the Cardinals. But this is probably, I don't know how well you can see this. Can you see that any good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It says, Chris, way to go, kid. You made the old man look good. Rocket. Of course, he signs things. Roger Clemens, size 7. And this is him picking me up right after the home run. So, and as a collector, I still have those batting gloves in the bat, just chilling in my house. But just to prove to you, I'm such non-memorabilia guy. They're like in the corner of a closet. But anyway, that is probably my most fond piece of memorabilia, just because somehow I got tied to, the second probably most famous right-handed pitcher in the history of the sport, behind Nolan Ryan and Roger Clemens. He and I are kind of tied in this game together because he got the win in his only relief appearance. He pitched like 4 innings of BPs to his sons during the game. The guy has like a bionic arm. It was crazy. But if we'd have lost, we were going to have to face John Smoltz the next day in Atlanta. And Andy Pettit wasn't even in the stadium that day because he had 103-degree fever and he was puking. And he was supposed to face John Smoltz the next day in Atlanta. So we were kind of all in to win this game. We got down 6-1. Berkman hits a grand slam in the 8th. Ausmus, who I always feel guilty because I feel like Ausmus had the biggest hit of the game, 2 outs in the 9th against Cal Farnsworth, and Brad Ausmus hit a home run with 2 outs in the 9th to tie the game up. You talk about clutch.
And Jameel's told me this vast registry of these sets that you have. So when you think about that, what are some of the rankings of these registry sets that you have? Is it the best out there?
I think a lot of people may say that. I try to stay as humble as I can in the hobby, because I would love to see someone, I'd love to have 25 people in the hobby accomplish what I've accomplished. And so what a lot of people don't realize is, as I was building the sets, I started with the main sets, Jungle, Fossil, Base, and this and that. I was actually helping PSA build those sets too. And so if PSA didn't have a Gym Challenge set, I would say, hey, let's build a Gym Challenge set. And of course, when they built it, I already had it completed, so it would just complete. And so when you look on PSA registry and they had let's say they had 20 sets, I would be in all 20 because I was the one helping them build all that. So that's kind of a little bit of the story lost. And, they have hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon sets now, and I'm not a part of all of them, but I'd say for a good 4 or 5 years, I think I probably had 50, maybe to 100 sets that were in progress. And I was number one because I only built the sets that I had started. So most of my collections really just Wizards of the Coast, from First at Base all the way to Sky Ridge, which ends in 2003. That's when they lost the license and went back to Nintendo. For me, that was a very clean sort of cut. I actually stopped collecting on Expedition as a kid, which is in 2002. So to go an extra 2 sets to finish that off was a perfect fit. And a lot of collectors relate to that as well. That's when Yu-Gi-Oh came out. That's when people were going to high school. That's when things change in life. You start playing sports, finding girls, your priorities maybe shift a little. And so it's one of the most relatable pieces of the hobby.
Is there just a really weird, random card that took forever to track down that you needed to complete a set? Do you have any quick stories like that?
Oh my gosh. I think the unlimited sets. So I did all the first edition for Pokemon, and then they have unlimited as well. A lot of people don't realize they're probably the same print run for each, but no one grades in limited. Like you don't have to teach someone first edition. They just, they know, oh, it's rare, let me grade it. But in limited, people are like, oh, I'm not going to grade that. It's not worth it. Well, some of these unlimited cards I was paying thousands of dollars for. And the last card I needed was Ampharos. I needed it for 2 years. It was probably like one of like 3 cards I needed for the last like bucket of like 10 years I was collecting this stuff. And it's like, man, why can't I find this card? I know they printed like 100,000 copies of it. One of them's got to get a 10 eventually. That copy like 15 for a 9. And so someone comes up and they have it for sale. It's pop 2 and offer the guy, we start going back and forth. They're paying $8,000 for the card. Wow. And it's like a card, like fair value is maybe like 2 to 3K, but because I need it, because it's the last card of like a 500 card set, it's like, okay, let's just do the deal. Let's get it done. And